Hi friends, in this video let's talk about what is MDX, why we need MDX, and how to write an MDX queries on the top of multi-dimensional model. Why only MDX queries works on the multi-dimensional model? So why don't SQL queries works on the multi-dimensional model? We will talk about in detail in the introduction. Slowly I'll talk about some complex examples as well. But in this video I'll give you an example of how to write a basic queries and what is MDX and what are all the differences between multi-dimensional model and a two-dimensional model. In the previous sessions, so we talked about couple of interesting topics. So how to check the cube connectivity and how to access the data in the Microsoft Excel. We talked about perspectives. We talked about some interview questions. We talked about some tabular model. We talked about cube deployment, schemas, named queries, and how to create first project and what is the introduction. So if you want a detailed information of these all topics, let's go to the previous videos which I am going to keep in the description section. So those are required before we go for a MDX. If you are already aware of that, how to create a cube and how to deploy a cube, nothing to worry, because cube should be deployed before we talk about MDX. MDX works on the analysis databases. It means that cube should be ready by the time of MDX you start. Now, so what is MDX? MDX is nothing but, abbreviation is nothing but multi-dimensional queries. Multi-dimensional queries. The place where you write MDX queries. Multi-dimensional queries. It is nothing but multi-dimensional queries, MDX. So then what is SQL queries? Or SQL queries or SQL queries, whatever, how you pronounce, it's up to you. What is SQL queries or Oracle queries and all? It is a two-dimensional queries. See, now the difference between the SQL or Oracle queries is nothing but a two-dimensional queries, but MDX queries are multi-dimensional queries. It means that MDX works on the multi-dimensional model, but SQL queries or SQL databases or Oracle database are two-dimensional databases. When I say two-dimensional, it is nothing but it is going to contain rows and columns only. It is nothing but a rows and columns only. I may not be able to see the data in any other dimension. To write a SQL query, what is required? To write a SQL query, I might need to have a rows and columns. So what is the syntax you do use to write a SQL query? So let us say table is ready. Let's go to the SQL database. So I am telling you this is SQL database. I have around 5-6 databases in my server. So I have AdventureWorks, some default system databases, and some sample database which I created for our examples. That's it, for some time back. Now let's write a very basic query. So I have a employee table. How to fetch the data from employee table? Select star from EMP. So once we are done with the query, you simply write like this, you will get the data. So you will be getting the data like this. It's a two-dimensional. You may not be able to see most permutation combination here, but when you write a similar query in cube, you will be getting multiple records with more permutations and combinations. So it means that what I mean on the whole here is SQL queries or the SQL or Oracle queries are the two-dimensional queries. The queries which you write on multi-dimensional queries are called as a MDX queries. So okay, so now I designed a cube for our example purpose. so which contains like a one fact table, so and couple of dimension tables. So these are the dimension tables and one fact table I have, so which I designed and deployed on the server. So once the cube is deployed, then we can talk about MDX. So how to create a cube, how to identify a dimension, and what could be the dimension and what could be the fact, I talked about in the previous videos. So let's go to the previous video. I'll be keeping those video links in the description section. You can go if required about in detail. Now once the cube is deployed, so can I see the cube data? Yes, you can see the cube data in multiple places. As I told you in the previous video, so I can observe the cube data in the browser window of the SSDT, or I can go to the SQL Server Management Studio. Let's close this. Go to SQL Server Management Studio. Let's connect and select server type as analysis services and provide whatever the server name you have. Let's click on connect. So once you click on connect, it connects the window like this. Let me disconnect for some time. Yeah, so these are the options you will get: databases, assemblies, and management. We will talk about later in detail what is about. Once you expand this databases, you will get what is the database which you created. So here, with the help of this project, I created database name as a project name only. I can put whatever the name I want, but here it is a sample example for me. That's the reason I made it as SSAS _ samples. Let's come here. So which contains only one cube. If you see this is only one cube I have in my example. Yes, in the real time scenario you will be having 4 or 5 cubes, or it depends on your requirement. It depends on your scenarios. Now let's expand this database. Under that I have a same structure here: data sources, data source views, cubes, dimensions, mining structures, roles, and assemblies. In the same way you can see here as well. Whatever the structure I have, I can see the same structure there. Let's come here now. Let's expand the cubes. Yes, this is the cube. Whatever the cube I can see in the SSDT, the same cube has been deployed, the same name. Then how to write? Now cube has been deployed successfully. Then how to write MDX queries, and what is the prerequisites to write MDX queries? What are the minimum terms you need to know to write MDX queries? See, to write MDX queries, I might need to have at least 2 components, 2 terms. One is a member, the other one is a measure. So before, see, when you go to MDX, you may need to know little new terms. So if you are too familiar with the SQL queries, so here we may not be requiring what is row and what is column. But in MDX, because here we will be generating permutations and combinations. To handle those permutations and combinations, you need to know little new terms. One is a member, the other one is a measure. Then what is a member here? So member is nothing but a dimensional attribute. So members come from the dimensional attribute. So dimensional attribute. So members come from a dimensional attribute. See, I showed you couple of dimensions here. Let me go to the cube structure here. So this is a dimension, this is a dimension, this is a dimension, this is a dimension. It means that the member can come from any of the dimensions. It means that so member can come from any of the dimensional attribute. So I can take a member as a product, or from currency, from sales territory, and dim promotion, from dim date and dim customer. So these are the list of dimensions. I can take a member from one of the dimensional tables. Next, what is a measure? So measures come from a fact. Measures come from the fact. It is nothing but a fact attribute. It comes from the fact attribute. It means that before you write a MDX query, you should know what is your member and what is your measure you are going to use in your query. Now I am going to conclude that MDX query is the one which contains at least one measure and at least one member. So without having at least one measure and one member, I will not be able to finish the MDX query. I will not be able to finish the MDX query. So with the help of the MDX query, so I can create KPIs, key performance indicators. I can create a key performance indicators. That is one of the best example in MDX. Or I can perform some calculations as well. It's up to me. It depends on the requirement. So I can generate multiple permutations and combinations. And generally we do write MDX queries on the top of the top of SSAS cubes only. It means that cube should be ready, cube should be designed, developed and deployed to the server, then only I can write the MDX queries. Now, so what is the syntax? What is the basic syntax to write a MDX query? See, if you really see that, let me write a SQL syntax first, just to to explain in a better way. So what is the syntax to write a SQL query or Oracle query? Select ID EMP, comma EMP name from EMP table. Employee. Just to explain you, I just written a select query to show you the syntax of the SQL server. Now let's write MDX query. See here, in the select query, so one can come from a dimension table, the other can come from a fact table, or nothing. There is no restrictions like so all columns should come from dimension, or all columns should come from fact. There is no restriction in the select query. But in MDX query, as I told you, one measure should be compulsory and one member should be compulsory. So let me write a syntax now to cover both. So to cover both is select let's put that select from, I'll put it later, cube name. So here I need to specify what are all the columns and what are all the rows. So here measure, I told you measure or member on rows, comma measure or member on columns. I need to specify like this. Measure or member on columns. See, when I say measure member, so measure can be in row or can be in column. Member can be in row or can be in the column. That's the reason why I am specifying measure or member can be either in column or in the row. But at least one measure and one member is compulsory. See, in a easiest way, I can replace rows and columns with the aliases. So how to replace is, I have alias name, alias indication for those. So rows are going to indicate with 1. When I specify that 1, it is nothing but a rows. When I specify like 0 here, it is nothing but a columns. This is a basic syntax of the MDX. Select measure on 1, comma member on 0 from cube. So what is the name of the cube? You can specify it. So let me write this basic query in the SQL Server Management Studio and let me show you. So let's connect here. So this is the cube. I already have the cube readily with me. So I already deployed the cube and I already have a data in the cube. Let's right click on the cube, click on browse. So once you click on browse, it opens a query window, like how SQL opens a window for us. Now where to write a query here? So this looks like all is design. Okay, so let me show you how to drag and drop and how to write a query as well. So let me get one, see these are the measures are there in the measures and the remaining dimensions are there like this. Let me get from product or let from customer or some date. Let us take for a dim date. Order data, ship date, whatever it is you want, take the date. Okay, and get the measures from here, fact internet sales and discount amount. See, if you really see this, I have one from the dimension table, one from the fact table. See, this is the query, this is the result which I have now. So what was the query behind it? All are zeros only. Let's take the tax amount just to show you this. Let's remove the discount amount. Yeah, now if you see this, in a particular date key I have these myths of tax and all. So what was the query behind this is, so we are in the design window. That is the reason why you are not able to see. If you just click on it, it opens a query window where what is the query which has been prepared by the SQL Server Management Studio for us. You can see it. See, it has been prepared like this much of big query. My SQL Server Management Studio prepared this much of big query for me to show this result. Then how to write on my side? How to write? So let me write on my own. So let's remove this. Let me write on my own. Select from cube name. So cube name is this only. I'll put it as a let me copy the cube name. Yeah, so this is the cube name is this. I'll take out the copy here. Okay, so now let me remove this. Yeah, so let me select from cube name. Rather than writing, I just copied. Okay, so now what I mentioned as syntax is, so measure or member on 1, comma measure or member on 0. Let's come here. Let me take it as a tax amount. Here I can simply drag and drop like this. On columns, comma due date. Get the date from here. Date key on rows. Let's execute this. Yes, you have it. But if you see this, there are some nulls are there in the tax amount. That is the reason why. Let's scroll down wherever you have a value. Yes, see. If you write a very basic query, you will get like this. But the designer has removed all the nulls and it shows only values. So how to remove nulls? We will talk about slowly. We'll talk about slowly how to remove the nulls from a MDX query. If it is same thing in SQL Server, we'll put it as where is not null, something like that. The same way here, we have a different flexibility to avoid nulls. So this is how we do write one basic MDX query in SSMS. So what it was is, select measures dot, here my measure is on the column and attribute, this dimensional attribute is on the rows. So I can skip up and down here. So measure to rows and dimensional attribute to columns. I can do it whatever I want. So this is how I do write one basic query in the MDX. In the next video, I will talk about how to remove nulls, and we'll talk about what is a tuple. So there are like a lot of predefined flexibilities in SSAS MDX, and a lot of like a comfort levels we do have. So you can do lot of permutations and combinations. You can apply filter like where condition and all here as well, and you can create you can have if conditions and case statements and switch everything. How you have flexibility in SQL Server queries, same way or on the little different way you have the similar flexibility in SSAS MDX as well. So in this video, so we'll stop here, and in the next video we will talk about the other concepts. So that's it about the MDX introduction. So we'll talk about slowly in detail about MDX in the next videos. That's it. So if you like this video, please subscribe and provide your valuable feedback, and please follow me on Facebook on my page for more technical updates on Azure, SQL Server, Power BI and MSBI components and articles. Thank you for watching.